Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Welcome, Tejas Prabhu. Others will join in a few minutes. So, why this camera is fluctuating? So, we will begin with prayers. Short prayers we'll have. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nidhi Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. We are reading from Krishna book, chapter 41, entitled Krishna enters Mathura. So I will read first paragraph and then one by one, all of you can read uh, one paragraph. So after me, Tejas Prabhu can be ready and then Rishikesh Prabhu. While Akrura was offering his prayers to Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Lord disappeared from the water, exactly as an expert dramatic actor changes his dress and assumes his original feature. After the Vishnu Murti disappeared, Akrura got out of the water. Finishing the rest of his ritualistic performance, he went near the chariot of Balram and Krishna and was struck with wonder. Krishna asked whether he had seen something wonderful within the water or in space. Akrur said, "My dear Lord, all wonderful things that are happening within this world, either in the sky or in the water or on the land, are factually appearing in your universal form. So when I have seen you, what wonderful things have I not seen?" This statement confirms the Vedic version that one who knows Krishna knows everything, and that one who has seen Krishna has seen everything, regardless of how wonderful a thing may be. My dear Lord, Akrur continued, there cannot be anything more wonderful than your transcendental form. When I have seen your transcendental form, what is there left to see? Yes, Tejas Prabhu, you can read.
After saying this, Akrura immediately started driving the chariot, and by the end of the day, they reached the precincts of Mathura. As they rode from Vrindavan to Mathura, all the passersby along the way who saw Krishna and Balram could not help but look at them again and again. In the meantime, the other inhabitants of Vrindavan, headed by Nanda and Upananda, had already reached Mathura by going through the forest, and they were awaiting the arrival of Krishna and Balram in the garden. Upon reaching the entrance to Mathura, Krishna and Balram got down from the chariot and shook hands with Akrura. Krishna informed him, "You may go home now, because we shall enter Mathura later, along with our associates." Akrura replied, "My dear Lord, I cannot go to Mathura alone, leaving you aside. I am your surrendered servant. Please do not try to avoid me. Please come along with me, with your elder brother and cowherd boyfriends, and sanctify my house. My dear Lord, if you come, my home will be sanctified by the dust of your lotus feet. The water emanating from the perspiration of your lotus feet, namely the Ganges, purifies everyone, including the forefathers, the fire god, and other demigods. Bali Maharaj has become famous simply by washing your lotus feet, and he enjoyed all material opulences. And later on, and later on was elevated to highest position of liberation. The Ganges water not only sanctifies the three worlds but is carried on the head of Lord Shiva. The ancestors of Bhagirath, sanctified by this water, achieved the heavenly planets. O Supreme Lord of Lords, O Master of the universe, one can achieve piety simply by hearing about your transcendental pastimes. O Supreme Narayan, who are praised with the select verses, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you.
Thank you. Rishikesh Prabhu.
On hearing this, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna replied, Akrura, I shall surely come to your home with my elder brother Balram, but only after killing all the demons who are enemies of the Yadu de- density. In this way, I shall please all my relatives. Akrura became a little disappointed by this word of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but he could not disregard the order. He therefore entered Mathura and informed Kamsa about the arrival of Krishna, and then he entered his own home. After Akrura departure,
Yes. Yeah, please continue. Hmm.
after Akrura departure, Lord Krishna, Balram, and the cowherd boys entered Mathura to see the city. They observed that the gate of Mathura was made of first-class marble, very well constructed, and that the door were made of pure gold. There were gorgeous orchards and gardens all around, and the whole city was encircled by canals so that no enemy could enter very easily. They saw, they saw that all the crossroads were decorated with gold and that there were copper and brass storehouses for stocking grain, and there were many rich men's houses, all appearing symmetrical as if constructed by one engineer. The houses were decorated with costly jewels, and each and each and every house had nice compounds of trees bearing fruits and flowers. The corridors and verandas of the houses were decorated with silk cloth and embroidery work in jewels and pearls. In front of the balcony windows were penguins and peacocks walking and cooing. All the grains dealers shops within the city were decorated with different kinds of flowers and garlands, newly grown grass and pleasing flower like narcissus and roses. The entrance door of the houses were decorated with water pots filled with water, a mixture of water, yogurt, sandalwood pulp, and flowers was sprinkled all around the doors, which were also decorated with burning lamps of different sizes. Overall, the doors were decoration of fresh mango leaves and silk festoons.
Thank you. We have Aman Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. When the news spread that Krishna, Balaram, and the cowherd boys were within Mathura city, all the inhabitants gathered, and the ladies and girls immediately went up to the roofs of the houses to see them. They had been awaiting the arrival of Krishna and Balaram with great anxiety, and in their extreme eagerness to see Krishna and Balaram, the ladies did not dress themselves very properly. Some of them placed their clothes in the wrong place. Some anointed their eyes on one side only. And some wore ankle bells only on one leg, or worse, or wore only one earring. Thus, in great haste, not even decorated properly. They went to see Krishna from the roofs. Some of them had been taking their lunch, but as soon as they heard that Krishna and Balaram were in the city, they left their eating and ran to the groups. Okay. Listen. Some of them were in the bathroom taking their baths, but without properly finishing their bath, they went to see Krishna and Balaram. Some were engaged in feeding their children breast milk, but they put their babies aside and went to see Krishna and Balaram. Passing by very slowly and smiling, Lord Krishna immediately stole their hearts. He who is the husband of the goddess of fortune passed through the street passed through the street कहाँ गया? Yeah. Like an elephant. For a very long time, the women of Mathura had heard about Krishna and Balaram and their uncommon characteristics, and they were very much attracted and eager to see them. Now, when they actually saw Krishna and Balaram passing on the street and saw them sweetly smiling, the lady's joy reached the point of ecstasy. When they actually saw them with their eyes, they took Krishna and Balaram within their hearts and began to embrace them to their fullest desire. Their bodily hairs stood up in ecstasy. They had heard of Krishna, but they had never seen him, and now their longing was relieved. After going up on the roofs of the places of Mathura, the ladies, their faces joyful, began to shower flowers upon Krishna and Balaram. When the brothers were passing through the streets, all the Brahmins in the neighborhood went out with sandal, water, and flowers and respectfully welcomed them to the city. All the residents of Mathura began to talk among themselves about the elevated and pious activities of the people of Vrindavan. The residents of Mathura were surprised at the pious activities the cowherd men in Vrindavan must have performed in their previous lives to be able to see Krishna and Balaram daily as
Cowherd boys. Dheeraj Prabhu.
boys. Should read next paragraph, Prabhu, or
Dheeraj Prabhu is there?
Yes, Prabhu, I'm
yes,
there.
yes.
Yeah, please read.
Okay. Unfortunately, this washerman was a servant
No,
of
no, no.
Krishna.
While Krishna and Balaram, you have to read from there.
Okay. While Krishna and Balaram were passing in this way, they saw a washerman and dryer of clothing. Krishna was pleased to ask him for some nice clothing. He also promised that if the washerman could would deliver the nicest dyed cloth to him, the washerman could become very happy, and all good fortune would be his. Krishna was not a beggar, nor was he in need of clothing. Just by his request, he indicated that everyone should be ready to offer Krishna whatever he wants. That is the meaning of Krishna consciousness. Unfortunately, this washerman was a servant of Kamsa and therefore could not appreciate the demand of Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is the effect of a bad association. He could have immediately delivered the clothing to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who promised him all good fortune. But being a servant of Kamsa, the sinful demon could not accept the offer. Instead of being pleased, he was very angry and refused the Lord's request, saying, "How is that you are asking for clothing which is meant for the king?" The washerman then began to instruct Krishna and Balram. My dear boy, in the future, don't be so impudent as to ask for things which belongs to the king. There, otherwise, you will be punished by the government man. They will arrest you and punish you, and you will be in difficulty. I have practical experience of this fact. Anyone who unlawfully wants to use the king's property is very severely punished.
Thank you. Okay, now I will read. And then again, turn by turn, our devotees will read. On hearing this, Lord Krishna, the son of Devaki, became very angry at the washerman, and striking him with the upper portion of his hand, he separated the man's head from his body. The washerman fell down dead on the ground. In this way, Lord Krishna confirmed the statement of Brahma Samhita that every limb of his body is capable of doing everything he likes. Without a sword, but simply with his hand, he cut off the head of the washerman. This is the proof that Supreme Lord is omnipotent. If he wants to do something, he can do it without extraneous help. After this ghastly incident, the employees of the washerman immediately dispersed, leaving the clothing. Krishna and Balaram took possession of it and dressed according to their choice. The rest of the clothes were offered to cowherd boys, who also used them as they desired. What they did not use remained there. Krishna, Balaram, and the boys then proceeded along the main road. In the meantime, a devotee tailor took the opportunity of service and prepared some nice clothes from the cloth of for Krishna and Balaram. Thus, being very nicely attired, Krishna and Balaram looked like elephants dressed with colored clothing on the full moon day or the dark moon day. Krishna was very much pleased with the tailor and gave him benediction of Sarupya Mukti, which means that after leaving his body, he would be liberated and would attain a four-handed body, exactly like that of Narayan in the Vaikuntha planets. Krishna also granted him that as long as he would live, he would earn sufficient opulence to be able to enjoy sense gratification. At this incident, Krishna proved that those who are Krishna conscious devotees will not be lacking material enjoyment of sense gratification. They will have sufficient opportunity for such things. After leaving this body, they will be allowed to enter the spiritual planets of Vaikuntha Lok or Krishna Lok, Golok Vrindavan. Okay, so Tejas Prabhu.
Tejas Prabhu is on call, Prabhu.
Okay, then Rishikesh Prabhu.
After dressing nicely, Krishna and Balaram went to the florist of the name Sudama. As soon as they reached the precinct of his house, the florist immediately came out and, with great devotion, fell down on his face to offer his respectful obeisances. He offered a nice seat to Krishna and Balaram and asked his assistant to bring out flowers, betel nuts, and plum of chandan. This florist welcome greatly satisfied the Lord. The florist very humbly and submissively offered his prayers to the Lord, saying, "My dear Lord, because you have come to my place, I think all my forefathers and all my worshipable superiors are pleased and delivered. My dear Lord, you are the supreme cause of all causes of this cosmic manifestation. But for the benefit of the resident of this earthly planet, you have appeared with your plenary portion to give protection to your devotees and annihilate the demons. You are equally disposed as the friend of all living entities. You are the super soul, and you do not discriminate between friend and enemy. Yet you are pleased to give your devotees the special result of their devotional activities. My Lord, I am praying that you please tell me whatever you wish me to do, because I am your eternal servant. If you would order me to do something, it will be a great favor to me. To the the florist Sudama was greatly pleased within his heart by seeing Krishna and Balaram is his place, and thus as his choicest desire, he made two exact exquisite, exquisite garlands of various flowers and presented them to the Lord. Krishna and Balaram were very much pleased with his sincere service, and Krishna offered his flourished his salutation and benediction, which he is always he is always prepared to bestow upon the surrender souls. When the florist was offered benediction, he begged from the Lord that he might remain his eternal servant in devotional service, and by such service do good to all living creatures. By this, it is clear that a devotee of the Lord in Krishna consciousness should not be satisfied simply by his own advance, advancement in devotional service. He must be willing to work for the welfare of all others. This example was followed by the six Goswamis of Vrindavan. It is therefore stated in prayers about them, Lokanam Hita Karunam. Vaishnavas or devotees of the Lord are not selfish. Whatever benefits they derive from the Supreme Personality of Godhead as benediction, they want to distribute to all other persons. That is the greatest of all humanitarian activities. Being satisfied with the florist, Lord Krishna not only gave him whatever benediction he wanted, but over and above that, he offered him all material opulences, family prosperity, a long duration of life, and whatever else is her desire within the material world.
Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 41st chapter of Krishna. Krishna enters Mathura. Jai. So I have just made important points notes from from today's chapter. So I will just summarize. In the first paragraph, we discussed about Vishwarup Darshan, how Akrura saw Krishna's universal form. He offered prayers, and then he came out of the river, and that pastime happened in Akrur Ghat. And then Krishna Balaram, along with Akrur, they came to Mathura. In second paragraph, we saw after reaching the outskirts of Mathura, Krishna asked Akrura to go ahead and inform Kamsa, and then Krishna joined with all the cowherd friends, and by that time Nanda Upananda also reached, and they entered Mathura separately. And Akrura went alone to the palace of Kamsa and informed him that Krishna has arrived in Mathura city. Then we discussed about the description of Mathura city, how Mathura city was so opulent. So this paragraph, which I am showing on the screen, this paragraph, Prabhupada described the opulences of Mathura city, Mathura Mandal, Mathura Bhumi. In the next paragraph, Prabhupada mentions about uh, the damsels of Mathura, the women of Mathura, how they were very eager to have darshan of Krishna because they have heard about Krishna from long, long time. So that we discussed in this paragraph. And also the Brahmanas, they chanted Vedic hymns, welcomed Krishna and glorified Vrindavan Vasis for having Krishna in their life. Then we discussed how there was a washerman who was passing by, and the washerman was puffed up, and he offended Krishna Balaram. And later in next paragraph, he started instructing Krishna Balaram, and then Krishna finished him with one slap and took away the clothes of the washerman. So Radhesham Prabhu says this is the same washerman who was there in Ramayana, and he banished Mother Sita. He told, "The Sita has stayed in Ravana's home. How can Ram accept?" So same washerman came again in Krishna Lila, and then Krishna took the revenge and finished him. Then we discussed about the devotee tailor. The devotee tailor, when he saw Krishna Balaram coming, he made nice garments and offered very wonderful clothes for the Lord. And he pleased the Lord and got blessings from the Lord. So again, Radhesham Prabhu says this devotee tailor was there in Ramayana also, and he made the dresses for Ram Lakshman in Mithila, Janakpuri. And he had a desire to serve the Lord without taking single penny. So he came again in this Leela as a tailor in Mathura, and he served without charging him anything. Then Srila Prabhupada described about the florist who offered uh, various garlands and flowers to the Lord, and he offered prayers also. And this is the last paragraph of today's chapter. The wonderful prayers by the florist. His name is Sudama. So he offered very wonderful prayers, and here we end today's discussion. So Prabhupada is telling at the end that being satisfied with the florist, Lord gave him all benediction, and he also blessed him. He will enjoy material opulences, and after this life, he will go back home, back to Godhead. Okay, so we will conclude for today. Thank you all very much for joining. Let me see who all have joined. So today we had, okay, Aditya Prabhu was there, Aman Prabhu, Rishikesh Prabhu, Tejas Prabhu, Dheeraj Prabhu, and Prashant Prabhu. So tomorrow
I
we
joined
will,
late.
yeah, they joined little late, but no problem. Tomorrow we will join again at 8:30. Sometimes I may get late by 4 5 minutes because of setting up uh, the Zoom meeting and everything. But by 8:30, 8:35, daily we'll have book reading for half an hour, and we'll try to complete one chapter every day. So once again, I thank every one of you for joining, and let's meet